our purpose is, or our mission is to build community and parent involvement through communication, information, and advisement. So we advise the executive director on policies, instructional and budgetary issues. We engage parents, staff, faculty, and the community in the educational process. And we provide information and resources to parents, which is really what we're focused on today. I also dropped 2 links in the chat as well. The first one is the link to the Cottonwood homepage where it describes the role of the PAC. And then the second link is a link to the statute that focuses in on what established school councils in the New Mexico law. And so now that we've got that out of the way, I wanted to do a couple of quick introductions before we get started. And so we have a number of parents on the line that are experienced parents at Cottonwood. They've been had students at Cottonwood for a range of years. And then we also have some staff on the line as well. So I'm going to start with the parent introductions, and I'll start off, and then I'd ask the parent volunteers that volunteered, PAC members that volunteered to be a part of this Q&A session today to speak up and introduce themselves. So I'd ask that you share your name, maybe how many students you currently have at Cottonwood, what grades they're in, and how long you've had a student at Cottonwood. So I'll start off, and then I'd ask the parent volunteers, PAC members to jump in. So my name is Luis Griego, as I mentioned. My daughter, Lucia, is a rising 8th grader, and she's about to start her 3rd year at Cottonwood. So we've been involved with the school since she started 6th grade, so just going on 2 years now. So I'd ask any of the other parent volunteers to just speak up and jump in.
Hello. My name is Lisa Silva. My son is Diego. He is an incoming 7th grader. And we've been so happy at the school and happy to answer any questions that we can. We're in transit, so I might come in and out, but any questions I'm happy to answer. But my name is Lisa, and my son is Diego.
Awesome. Welcome, Lisa. Thanks for being here. Who's next?
Hello, my name's Abel, and this is my wife, Marilu. And we have 3 girls, Isabella in 9th, and the twins, Bethany and Naomi, going into 6th grade, and this will be our 1st year for all 3 of them.
Welcome. Thank you. Marie.
I'm Marie Parks. Wanted to say hi to everyone. I'm a returning parent at Cottonwood. I have a daughter entering 10th grade this year and twin daughters entering 9th grade. And they all started here in 8th grade. So they didn't start in 6th grade, but we got the experience of them coming into an established situation. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. And I also am kind of supporting the PTO and getting the PTO up and running this year. So I'll be putting in the chat a link to that you can fill out an interest form if you're interested in being involved in the PTO this year. We need volunteers, and if you have a passion, we can find a place for you. So I'll be putting that link in the chat as well.
And thank you, Marie. Thanks for being here. Any other parent PAC members that are here that volunteered to answer questions from a parent perspective?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Boyd. I have an incoming 8th grader, so he's been at the school now going on 3 years. And I also have another guy going into 7th grade. So we've been just so happy with our experience here at Cottonwood. Both my children started in 6th grade, so happy to answer any questions that any of you new folks may have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for being here. Any other parent volunteers that are volunteering to answer questions today? Okay, well, let's move to the staff on the line. And Ms. Petrie, would you mind starting off?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, everyone. I'm Carissa Petrie. I'm the school's assistant director. I met some of you at Jumpstart last week, so I'm really glad that you joined us today. If you have additional questions or you just want to hear more about the Cottonwood experience. I'm also a parent at Cottonwood, so I have a student that is going into 9th grade. So I do understand the school from a couple of different perspectives. And I'm going to pass it along to Bryant.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bryant Johnson. I am the Director of Activities and After School Programs. Those kind of questions, I guess, can be directed at me, and I'll do the best that I can answer with what we have so far. There are still a couple things that we're trying to work out, but everything should be good to go. Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks for being here, Brian. Any other Cottonwood staff on the line?
Yeah, I am Johnny Rodriguez. I'm also in transit, but I am the community liaison. So anything that has to do with building community and things of that sort, I am the go-to guy, and also with a lot of communication. So you'll get a lot of emails from me, and I met a couple of y'all during Jumpstart. So yeah, if you need anything from me, definitely here to ask or answer questions. Yeah.
Perfect, Johnny. Thanks for being here. Any other staff? Awesome. Okay. All right. So my role today is the facilitator, and so I'm going to try and facilitate the questions and answers. So the way that that I try and run these meetings is I do prioritize verbal questions. So if you have a question that you'd like to verbalize, please use the hand raise feature within the Google platform, or if you're on camera, raise your hand as well. And I'll try and go in order of people, raising their hands and asking questions in that kind of way. But having said that, feel free to use the chat, the in-call messaging function as you like. People may weigh in. Totally cool to have separate conversations there, but I'll try and focus the verbal conversation while there are verbal questions on the line. I'll try and focus in on those in the way that we have people speaking and so forth. If we run out of verbal questions, then we'll go into the chat, as well, and verbalize answers in that kind of way. And so that's kind of the plan for our time together today. I think we've got time on the calendar until 7:00, and so got a big chunk of time to dialogue and question and answer. And so I'll just open up the floor to any questions.
I have a question. When
Go for it, Abel.
when do we get or when will the girls get their class schedules?
I can answer that one. So we are in a little bit of a growth spurt at the school, and we have many people working on schedules right now. They're pretty much completed. We have some that we have to hand schedule, but by the end of the week, we're hoping that all of our students have access to their schedules through Power School. So by the end of the week. If for whatever reason you're not able to access the schedule, you can email Miss Green, who I know that you all are familiar with because you've dealt with her with the lottery, and she can just send you a print schedule, or a registrar will send you a print schedule for the kiddos. But it's sort of, we're a small school and we wear a lot of hats. So we have our athletic director, she's been working on scheduling. Our technology coordinator, he's been working on scheduling. Our director of special ed has been working on scheduling. And so it's just kind of we have more students, we have more programs, and it's just taking a little longer than we'd like. We're hoping that this smooths out over the next few years, but this year it's looking like it might be Friday, Saturday for the schedules to come out. They'll be out before Monday though, for sure. So thank you for your patience in advance for everyone.
Thank you for that. But I have another question.
Sure.
We'll have our class schedules. Is there also another schedule as far as for after school activities?
So I got that one. So our after school activities won't start probably until the third week of school. As far as things that are non-NMAA, Anything that's New Mexico Activities Association, that's going to be through our athletic director. But our after school activities, as far as clubs specifically, won't start up until about the third week of school. However, our after school like kind of like childcare option, we call it study club, is actually going to be ready day one. So I've got it staffed and I have the coordination for that all worked out already. Does that answer your question fully?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Thanks for jumping in, Brian. Is it end day?
Hi, I guess I have a misunderstanding about the study club. Is that something that's like optional that students can go to if they just need like, is there like extra support there to help with homework or something like that? Or is it something you have to actually sign your student up for, pay for? Yeah, I kind of don't understand about what the study club is.
No worries. So to clarify, what Study Club is it is a space for our students to engage in social interactions. Some of them play games, and then we also have spaces for students to work on homework and sometimes even get assistance with homework because we do have a few teachers that work in that. So we do have that going. And again, like about the third week or so, we're going to start moving into getting the rest of the after school programs up and running. And one of the things included in that is a tutoring program that the state helps fund called near peer tutoring. And we will have tutoring for math, English, and science this year. So that will be basically going into the third week. So, and oh yeah, basically clubs and tutoring are free unless otherwise stated. We do have one club that may end up having a price for it. So, but that all that information will be given.
Any parents want to weigh in on study club as well about any experiences of study club or any perspectives there?
I'll just
Yeah,
give one little plug here. My kids have attended study club various times, and it's a great space for them to complete some homework. There's often fewer distractions at home. And I also run one of the after school clubs. Last year I did a robotics club, which was fantastic. It's going to continue under new leadership next year, but I'm going to be hosting a math counts club for 6th through 8th graders who just love math. So if that sounds like your kiddo, look for information about the Math Counts Club coming up, which should be held on Tuesdays this coming year. And I'm really excited to work with your kids on that.
Thank you, Marie. Any other parent perspectives in study club or any other after school stuff?
Do you have to sign up for the study club or can you just go random days?
So we used to have a sign up for it, but we don't have that anymore. Your kid, basically, if they're enrolled in the school, they're enrolled in study club, they can stay with us. We do have a bus that picks up kids from the school at 5:30, and it will go to the Hoffmantown and then the Sagebrush drop-off points. So that also helps our families if they're a little bit further away from the school. But it goes till 5:30. So, yeah.
I was going to jump in. Hi, Lisa here. And in terms of study club as well, I'm sure that it does help kids and with their after school activities and everything else, but also, so you will see when you go and drop off and pick up children, there is a very, very long line. And study club has also helped me in terms of, instead of picking up my son right at pickup time, where the line could take 30 to 45 minutes to drive through, I would also just have him go into study club for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then I call in and they send him right out. And that has been very beneficial. I think for me, in terms of study club, yes, they can help with the studies, but also just have them, and you as a parent not have to wait in a long line for drive-through pickup at the end of the day.
Yeah, great point, Lisa. We use study club in the same way in our family too. Any other questions or dialogue around after school activities, or specifically study club?
Is there going to be and maybe this was asked already, is there going to be like a more detailed sports schedule sent out?
So our sports will be, there will be a more detailed kind of schedule and everything sent out. Like Carissa had said, our athletic director is one of the people that's responsible for getting our schedule done in remotely a timely manner at the moment. So that is on her plate, and she will have something to you as soon as possible. But yeah, a more detailed sports schedule will be done.
And I believe in the announcements that were sent out, and I think the new families, I think you're in the system, you should be getting our announcements, but there's a sports meeting the first week of school, where you'll meet with coaches, and there's a lot of information about the different teams that's going to happen. I believe that's like August 8th. So one of the days and it should be in the announcements, there's, much more information about the sports teams. So that's that first week of school.
Yeah, I'll add on to that as well. So we have all the sports schedules posted for our staff for the moment, but we just haven't released them yet because things might change, especially for middle school, because we're on it in a unique league. It's a league that goes against Albuquerque Academy, Sandia Prep, and those schools. So yeah, we'll have more info once we're locked in those leagues, because they could shift around a little bit. But yeah, definitely come out to the Thursday info session. Every coach should be there, and if there's not, there will be people that could answer all those specific questions for sure. I'll be there. I'm a coach. My spouse will be there. She coaches as well, so we'll be there to ask or answer some questions that you might have.
Appreciate that, Johnny and Brian. Thank you for weighing in on that, and Ms. Petrie. Any other questions about after school activities, or any parents want to weigh in on that topic?
I would just, so my daughter, also a student at the school, and just, finished up with middle school, and really did need supervision when she finished an activity. So we use the study club if her club ended at 5. Sometimes if we need her to stay until 5:30, if my husband was picking her up, or, we were in that situation, she could go, she could be safe for another half an hour, and then we would get her. So it's a really nice flexibility when your child wants to participate in activities. It's nice because it's very consistent, exactly when they need to be picked up. And there's a lot of nice adult supervision. So it allows them to participate in activities that, they might not be able to if you had to pick them up at kind of weird asynchronous times. So we did the play last year, SpongeBob SquarePants, and she would go and wait in study club until my husband was able to pick her up at 5:30. So that was really helpful to our family, and it's free, and it's, we do a lot of work to get those grants, and Mr. Johnson does a lot of work to facilitate that grant. So it's a really great program. It's actually, I would venture to say, one of the best programs in the state. So it's really worth it to our community to use it well, because there's a lot of of effort and great funding that went into it. So, get your kids involved. It's fun. They'll like school more if they're involved. Lots of cool activities, stuff that you would never expect. And free. It's all free. Lots of great materials.
And Lewis, I think Ping had her hand up.
Yes, I'll move right on to Ping on for the next question. So good on school activities for now, I think. Ping,
Yeah,
over to
hello.
you.
Yeah, hello everyone. I
Hi.
just have a quick question about like how many activities can middle schoolers sign up? My daughter is coming to the 6th grade next week. Is there like a like minimum or a maximum activities they can sign up?
So I got this one too. It's going to be dependent on what days those activities are offered and what she's interested in, to be honest. So to give you an idea of some of the clubs that we had going last year, we had robotics on one day, we had D&D, models and minis, we had crochet club, and like some of them happened on overlapping days. And so it's going to be one of those things where you there's something to do, there's some kind of club. I've made it so that the schedule is built out so that there's some kind of club after school, at least 2 every day. So I try to have at least 2 things happening every day that kids have choices for, and that's separate from study club. So study club is just a place and some support, right? And the clubs are something different. So to give you an idea of some of the clubs that we're working on putting together this year, we're looking at building out robotics again. We're looking at models and minis, the Dungeons and Dragons. We're looking at crochet again. We're looking at putting in Marie's math counts. We will have I'm still working on this, but it looks like we will have a flight program run by a certified flight instructor where your kids can actually get certified flight instructor signed off ground hours. So like ground school stuff for kids that are interested in becoming pilots. And like, it's just, it depends on what your kid is interested in, what they can sign up for. There's not an upper limit. Like there's not like, oh, your kid signed up for 2 programs, that's all they can do. No, if they're interested, they can sign up for something every day. They can be active in after school programs every day that are not study club. They could do any one of the clubs they want to do on those days, and that's great. The tutoring will be offered on Tuesday and Thursday. And I'll put out a schedule about that. Like I said, all these are going to be scheduled out, and you'll have a list. But every day there's going to be something. We do things that are enrichment and we do things that are academic support. And the idea is to try to make sure that there are multiple options each day.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, and Marie, yes, I just talked to the Seuss's today. Jiu-Jitsu should be one of our after-school programs this year, but it also will be offered during the day in the Coyote PAC time. So your kid can opt to do that. And I will probably have about 20 slots for that during the day. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Great question. And invite any other parent perspectives on that. I'll share mine. There are, as Brian described, there's just so many activities. It came down to more, our daughter had more interest than she had time. So I think that's probably a common occurrence with there's athletics options. There's so many options out there. So I hope that your kiddo can find what they're interested in. Any other parent perspectives on after school clubs?
I'll just add one thing. Mr. Johnson listed a whole bunch of just free, easy after school clubs that are all come when you want to. But the school also has a lot of more organized activities like speech and debate, science Olympiad, sports, of course. And I'm sure there are others that I'm not aware of and not thinking of, but I know those are some that my kids enjoyed and are interested in doing in the future. So there's also some, like, they don't quite fall in the category of clubs, but lots of other after school activities as well.
Yeah, that theater to that, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Petrie mentioned the SpongeBob production. So yeah, lots of a really great mix of all that.
Orchestra. I think there's also an after-school orchestra group.
Awesome. Thank you, Marie. All right, Patricia, you got your hand up next.
Hi, my daughter Emily will be entering 6th grade this year, and so I had a few questions. One was about the schedule. You're saying that that was going to go at the end of this week. Is that an email that we'll receive? She does have her own computer, so we didn't get one from the school. So I'm not really sure if there's like programs that we're supposed to have access to, or we need to like program into the computer to see the schedules.
Yeah, good
So
question.
that's my first question.
Sure, let me answer that one first. So usually the schedules come out through PowerSchool. So it's through access to PowerSchool. And your daughter can certainly use her own computer as long as she's, we use the Chrome browser and the Google system. So, you know, as long as she's using those features, we use those features as well. We have the Google Suite on our Chromebook. So as long as she has access to that on her computer, she can do a lot of the work. She'll need to be able to get into Schoology, but you know, those are all websites that she can access. So that's not really Chromebook specific. So she should be able to get that access. Usually schedules are sent to our new families via email though, also, because we know sometimes there's a little bit of difficulty getting into PowerSchool. So our registrar's office is good about you know, being proactive and sending information out.
Thank you. So then PowerSchool, is that to log in through that? Is that her email that we had set up? Is that the same login information?
So PowerSchool, there's a few different access points. So it's not the registration portal. It's going to be either the student or the parent portal that you would be able to access the schedule. So it's through that portal, which is, I believe it's a different kind of point of entry. I think Miss Green did send that out. I feel like we got an email as a family about that in the past couple of months for PowerSchool access.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question is, are we going to have some sort of list of all the activities and clubs that the students can join, like sent to us in an email, or is that something the kids will only see and decide between?
So Johnny and I will put together a communication to families for the after-school programs that are non-NMAA, and then there will be a separate communication for things that are mostly sports related and that kind of stuff. So you will have lists of everything that you need for basically going over things with your student and seeing what they're interested in. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any parents want to add to that from their perspective on communications or platforms or anything like that? I saw Marie dropped the PowerSchool link in the chat. Thank you for doing that, Marie. Patricia, you could reference that link as well. All right, let's move on to the next question. Mar, so you have your hand up.
Good evening. Just a couple quick questions, I guess, for Mr. Brian Johnson. I know you said math, English were being offered, and there was another subject. I'm sorry, I totally missed that one. Can you tell me again what it was?
The third one, which the state for the program actually added this past year, was science. And so we'll be offering science tutoring as well.
Okay, awesome. And then my next question is, if a child decides to sign up for whatever club is available and they also want to do athletics, is it during the same time? Is it going to make a conflict? Does anybody have guidance on that?
So if a kid wants to do a sport, but they also are interested in a club, and they're offered at the same time, or the practices are offered at the same time, we usually try to be as flexible as possible, just because like our kids, they want to do everything. They really do. I used to be the coach for soccer, and we used to have to flex with kids that wanted to do cross country, and they did soccer and cross country, even though the practices for cross country were all week and the practices for soccer were 3 times a week. We made it work. So if your kid is interested in doing a club, I'm certain that we can make things flex a little bit. But I mean, it's really going to be up to the people running the clubs and the coaches to make something like that work. And I will try to facilitate making that as smooth as possible. But sometimes it just doesn't work. Like if a club is too involved or a sport is too much, it's going to be something where a kid has to make a choice.
Okay. And my last question, in regards to the jiu-jitsu program, I know you said there's limited space. Will that program have a charge associated with it?
So the limited space part, that was in regards to what we'll be doing during the day, because we're going to actually do it during the day as well as one of the Coyote packs. And the space limitation for that is actually just transportation limitation. The club for after school, the Sousas will welcome however many students we can get to them. And because I had them go through the background check and everything, they can take the kids on, and we're thinking about having them actually at their facility, which is only about 3 minutes away from the school, instead of in the school itself, because of the construction and the storage issues that we have. So, but as far as the club, the Sousas want as many parents involved with that as possible, and that club is the one that I was saying is there's going to be a cost involved with it. We're going to offset some of it, but once you have a membership with their gym, at that point, the club is between you and them, and we're just facilitating.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions. Any other parent perspectives on that topic before I move to the next question? All right, Russell.
Hi there. I do have quick questions. So, do you guys offer music classes? I just hear that you have orchestra, but I'm wondering if you have violin classes, especially for the kids.
So at the moment, we're still trying to work that out. I'm not sure about the orchestra, but we are going to be talking about that in the next week or so. So just watch your announcements for information from Johnny, and that'll be what you get. So.
Great, thank you. All right. Let's see. Anyone else have any other questions they want to verbalize before we start kind of scanning through the chat? I know there's been some conversations happening there too. All right. I have not been watching it in detail, but seeing some questions about supply lists, teacher assignments, materials lists. Not seeing anything unanswered in the chat. Anyone else seeing anything unanswered?
Brian, did you want to talk about the locker kind of program that you and Mr. Garcia were gonna we're going to do for our middle schoolers and their families?
So with new incoming, thank you, Carissa. With new incoming families, especially our 6th grade families, where it's a little bit of an overwhelming situation, Mr. Garcia and I will be offering, and again, just kind of keep an eye on your emails for this or your communications for this, but we're going to be offering a evening set up your kid's locker with them kind of night. Because Ben is also he was a 6th grade dad for our school, and that was one of the things that he was like, my young'un had some difficulty getting the locker thing set up, and yeah, for 6th graders it's a little bit difficult. So the support for helping families out and giving you guys the option to come in after you get out of work and everything to help set up their locker is something that he and I decided we want to try to do for you guys this year. So there will be a day that we'll be doing that, and we may, depending upon the interest, we may do it a couple days in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Carissa.
That's so cool. Thanks for doing that.
So and I know most of you that have 6th graders came to the orientation last week, so you saw where their lockers were going to be, and you saw their cute little lockers. But just kind of in reference to Miss Boyd's, concern about the big backpack, we're hoping if parents can get in there and sort of assist us with organizing those lockers and kind of knowing what the locker situation is, what it looks like, that they can do some, proactive help with the backpack at home, just knowing what the locker situation is. It's not perfect. I mean, I too have a middle schooler that struggled tremendously with the big backpack. At a certain point, she just took all her stuff in her backpack every day and didn't use her locker. So, it's a hard thing, but yeah, I always tell our teachers, let the kids keep like their big binders in your classroom if you have space, so that it doesn't get crushed in the backpack. But I know sometimes that's not a possibility. I would say though, like just to all of our families, and I know we talked about this a little bit during Jumpstart, that there's a few materials to keep in the backpack that they use in every class, and that's really what I would just suggest they keep in like their little pencil bag. Otherwise, they don't need all their materials all the time. So those would be good ones to keep in the locker. But of course, again, it's not a perfect system. It's one where I do feel like they have to kind of experience it to know like what to do and what that feels like. But the students really can't go to their lockers between each class. There's just not time. So, they do need to carry around some of their stuff for a few classes at a time.
Between lockers and the conversation in the chat about covering books, I'm having flashbacks to like my middle school days of paper bags and covering books and stuff like that. So it's cool. Not many textbooks and lots of support for the locker activities. So thank you.
Well, can I share? I'm very excited about this. And this is something that I manage at our school. So I feel like I have a lot of skin in the game. So we purchase for each of our students all of their novels that they use for their English class. They can keep them. They can write in them. They can annotate them. We purchase really nice quality, good translations. And, our goal is that each student has access to a beautiful text that they can interact with, and then they can keep. So they can really, be very personal with their books. Really, the annotation process is something we do in all our classes. So we've really put a lot of resources into making sure that our students have those books. So the novel type of book that they're going to get in English, and even this year in social studies to an extent, that's their book. They get to keep it. Any textbooks, we've really tried to make sure, because they all have the Chromebook, they have a digital version. So most of the kids will get a digital version if they are using a textbook. And then we do have a few textbook versions if they need a paper copy in the classroom. But usually it's just a class set. But they will all have the digital. They have the digital version of whatever textbook. So in science, I know there's usually a digital version, and some of the social studies classes, like 8th grade, will have a digital version of the history book. But any of those little novels they get to keep, and it's theirs to write in. And so we encourage that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Petrie. Any other questions from parents? For the staff on the line or seeking parent perspectives and experiences? Rita, great question. Where should your child go on the first day of school? What does that look like?
Are they coming on the bus, or are you dropping them off? I think you said dropping them off. Yes? Is that right? Okay. So yeah, so you'll be dropping them off when you go through our line at the student entrance. If it's after a certain point, they'll be able to go directly into the building, and then they can go to their class. We have all of our staff out on the first day of school. Everybody's out. We all have maps. We're all helping direct students to where they need to go. Our older students are usually very helpful. So, they've been directed to help as well. We have a lot of students that are really excellent helpers. All the kids that came for Jumpstart were all volunteers, all of those older kids. So they know, and they'll help as well. If your student is here before the main entrance to the building is open, that student entrance, then they'll see other kids going this way. They're going to go back behind the building, and we funnel them towards the cafeteria and the gym. The gym is open. There's seating, so they can wait in there, or they can get breakfast. They can eat, and that's always available starting at 7. And then usually it's about 15 minutes before class starts, we open the building to the students to go to their locker, to get to their class. They find their friends. They like to walk together. But it gives them plenty of time to get to their class on time. So if the student entrance is open, your child can go right in. And if not, they're going to go around the back of the building to the gym and the cafeteria. And there's people in all those areas to direct them. Let them know, when they need to move, when they need to go to class, or wherever they need to go. So it will be a little hard as a 6th grader starting, because it's a new school and it's a bigger school, but lots of people around, lots of people directing the kids where they need to go.
Thank you.
Sure.
Lisa, I was going to say right quick, I'm going to jump into one of my favorite things about the school as well is that there is advisory daily. So a lot of schools just do advisory at the beginning of the week, and that is it. And I think that it's amazing for 6th graders to have advisory every single day, where they can kind of come in and regroup. So these young kids who don't know where they're going or have questions about certain things, every single day they have an advisory period. And they can have just kind of like a grounding moment where they can, have someone that is consistent throughout their week that they can reach out to, especially for new students. And I think that's something that we do really well at Cottonwood. And so I'm sure they'll find their way, whatever parent asked, where to go and how to get there, but also knowing that your child will have a teacher that's assigned to them every day, because we do have a block schedule, but a teacher that's assigned to them that will advise them and be their kind of, their person if they have questions and need to figure something out. So it's a nice solid footing to start with, I think, that Cottonwood does.
I'd also advise getting there early because the drop-off line can be a long one. So starting early and finding your time that works for you as well. And day.
How does the school handle like absences? Do you guys let us know if our kids don't make it to school? Because I have a bus kid. Like, does the school call parents, send out the robocall like the other APS schools, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. We do have the robocall if absences are unexcused. That's very, especially for younger kids, it's super unusual. In fact, I can only think of a very small handful in the last 5 years where that's been the case for our younger kids. Older kids driving themselves to school, wanting to stop for Starbucks, that can be a little bit more of an issue. But with our younger kids, you know, if you drop them off on the bus and they got onto the bus, then they got to school. They don't get lost in there. They're going to get to school. But yes, there's a robocall, and then we our attendance secretary is very on top of it, and our teachers are, you know, especially if sometimes if there's something going on with kids and they're trying to like sneak out or go to the bathroom, our kids are pretty good about letting us know as well if there's somebody that's supposed to be in class that is not in class. And then, you know, we have staff. We really pride ourselves on trying to keep a lot of supervision in the school building. So we have staff walking around the halls, checking bathrooms, all kinds of stuff. We just want to make sure kids are in class where they're supposed to be. So yes, to all of that.
Looks like there's a question about lockers in the chat as well, about locker assignments and when that occurs.
Usually the first, towards the end of the first week of school or the very beginning of the second week, we sometimes have the situation, and this won't happen with your sixth graders, but the older kids sometimes, because we're short on lockers, they'll share lockers. So we just have to make sure that, you know, we need to know what the balance is of students to lockers. And then we can start to assign lockers to students, and we do it in advisory. And the students will go out in advisory with their advisor, and they will find out where their locker is. And so it's done in a pretty organized way, but the sixth graders are all in that sixth grade hallway. So they all keep their lockers together. And, you know, we try to keep them grouped together by grade level. So we have, you know, all the seniors in one area, the 10th graders, everybody's kind of grouped together that way by grade level. I think you're muted, Lewis.
Lindsay, thank you, Ms. Petrie. Lindsay, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay. I have an incoming sixth grader. And I just wanted to ask about the dress code. And so just wanted to clarify some of the stuff. So I know they are doing their polos every day, but then it said that they could wear like a jacket or a shirt over. And does that have to be CCPS gear? So just a little bit of a clarification on the dress code would be great. Thank you.
Brian, I know the science department was really on top of dress code. Do you want to answer that?
So sorry, that's a little in joke because the science department is probably where a lot of kids got dress coded. We were pretty strict about it. So, it's as long as the kid has the polo, they'll make sure that the collar's there and check for the emblem. But if your kid has an appropriate like hoodie or pullover or whatever, if they're uncomfortable or cold in the building, as long as they have their polo and their ID, and they're following other like the bits and pieces of the minutia of the dress code, which Ben, I believe, should have out already. Um, yeah, like that's the biggest thing though. Like we'll first just see if a kid has their ID. As they get, closer down the hallway, I'm talking about the science hallway. As they got closer down the hallway, we'd be looking for that collar. And if they're good to go on those two fronts, usually we'd leave them alone after that. But if they came down the hallway in dress code, they had the one shot to go back down the hallway, go around the corner, get into dress code, and then come back down the hallway. Otherwise, we'd, send them the nasty gram of you were at a dress code. So it's I know that there are some changes to the dress code this year, but as far as the specifics of your question, that your child, if they're in 6th grade, they're not going to go down that particular hallway, so they may not have that experience right away. But in general, staff are pretty solid about just checking they got their ID and they got their polo and they're good to go. So.
Yeah, lots of chuckles about dress code, given all the evolution of the dress code and the energy it's gotten over the past year, for sure. So definitely, thanks for hitting the highlights on that, Brian Johnson.
Can I add to that? I put this
Yeah, jump
information
in.
in the chat as well, but the PTO offers a polo exchange. So we exchange uniforms or any CCPS wear, really one item for one item. If you bring in one that doesn't fit, you don't like the color or whatever, you can take a new to you one for free, or take one for a suggested $3 per item donation if you don't have one to donate. And I'll be doing that on Friday from 2 to 4, but I also run it throughout the school year through an online form.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing, Marie. Thank you for bringing that up. Great option, folks. And Dave, thanks for the recognition of the folks that came here to answer questions. Appreciate that. Other questions? All right, well, I'm going to close this out then. So I want to thank you all for your participation today, for the great questions from folks that are new to our Cottonwood community. I also want to thank the parents that shared their experiences, and our staff that are so knowledgeable about all of these aspects, and make Cottonwood, such a great place for our families. Sarita, I'll grab your question in one sec here. So one thing I also wanted to note is that our PAC is we're now going to be meeting every other month, and so we're going to pick up a meeting in September, in the September timeframe, and that will be announced, and the timeline for that will be announced. And I'll also want to put a plug in. I'm going to put a link in the chat here. This is a link that you could add to any calendaring software as well, and it will pull like events and things like that. And so this has been instrumental for our family as we're, organizing our lives, amongst the 4 people in our family, for everything that's going on. So you can see all of it in one place, and not have to track as much email and stuff, but really appreciate the staff that populates that calendar that you can subscribe to. And our PAC meetings will be on there as well, with the Google links and so forth, but always available over email as well, kind of to be announced. Definitely encourage your participation in PAC meetings. We get opportunities to advise and engage in the educational process, advise on policy changes, joke about the dress code because that's been a big topic. Parents weigh in quite a bit on that, on their perspectives, and many other important things in the school. So please use the PAC as an opportunity to make your voice heard. So, Sarita, I saw you raise your hand. Did you have one final question?
Yes. Sorry to do that at the last
No, it's
second.
okay. Go ahead. Hop in.
I just was curious as to when do they get their ID? Because I know it's very important for them to have that.
So if your child is a 6th grader, we already have those printed up based upon the pictures that you sent us. So we do have, if you didn't do it, there is some kind of image there, and we'll remake their ID with their proper picture at some point, like once we do photos and stuff. But we do have an ID for your student if they were registered. So that should be given out that first week, and it'll be with their advisor.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, Sarita. Yeah, those IDs and lanyards, very important part of the dress code. So for security measures and so forth and safety measures. All right, Lou and Abel, you want to take us home? One last question. You might be on mute if you're speaking.
No, we just want to thank you for this meeting. It's been very informative. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for acknowledging. Awesome. All right, well, we're going to end it here. So thank you all again, and we'll see you next time at our next PAC meeting in September. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.